Welcome back to another episode of our podcast, live show, not live, whatever you want to call it. This time we have an interesting, more player deep dive into Garrett Wilson. We're going to talk about Garrett Wilson. I know he's a hot name on everyone's minds. We're going to talk about if the hype is getting too high or if it's justified. So, Conan, I know you brought a lot of interesting statistics, and I see them here. Very exciting. I think the people should be excited. So why don't you tell us about Garrett Wilson?
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously, as we all know, he got a quarterback upgrade. We got Mr. Aaron Rodgers finally out of the dark room, and he is in New York,
Away
ready to
from his
quarterback
darkness
the
retreat.
Jets. Yeah. I really wanted to kind of look at some of, what should we expect now that he's moved on from Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers. So I didn't dig deep into Garrett Wilson, specifically his numbers that much. I think we all know he was great when he had a competent quarterback throwing the ball to him.
So not Zach Wilson.
Exactly. So I think we all know that he's a good football player. He's a great football player. And so I really wanted to kind of look at some of these things, but I also just like everywhere I look, it just seems like it's Garrett Wilson to the moon and just so much hype. So I just kind of wanted to dissect that and see like, should we really, really be this hyped on him? Or do we need to temper our expectations a tiny bit? Right? Like I think it's completely reasonable to expect a wide receiver one finish from him, not the wide receiver one, but a wide receiver one finish from him. But
Yeah.
when we're looking at, a site like Keep Trade Cut that lets people in the community kind of give their own take, their rankings, stuff like that, he's the wide receiver 3. And listen, like I know, okay, like if you want to take him over Amon-Ra, over Jalen Waddle, like guys like that, I can understand it. But now we're looking at taking him over a guy like AJ Brown, over CeeDee Lamb, and that's where I just think that's too high, right? Like he's right now just slotted in right behind Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and then it's Garrett Wilson, and I think that's a little bit too much after what we saw last year. Yes, it was great, but it's not like he finished like in the wide receiver 1 range, and I know there's a lot of things going wrong for that to happen. So I just think the hype is getting a little bit too out of hand. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it is a little bit much. I mean, redraft rankings have him around wide receiver 10, which I don't mind, actually. I think that's about right. Dynasty, DLF has him at wide receiver 5. I have him at wide receiver 7. So I do like him. But yes, wide receiver 3 is a little bit crazy. CeeDee Lamb I'd much prefer.
Absolutely. And I think like you just said, even wide receiver 5 to 7 range, I think that's perfectly fine. And I think that's still even like that's showing you're really excited about him, whatever. But if we're putting him right behind two absolute studs and in front of two pretty big studs and AJ, CeeDee, and then even these other guys, like I listed before, Amon-Ra, Jalen Waddle, it's just like that just seems a little bit too high. So, I mean, going back to what I said in the beginning, so why are people so hyped? Why are we expecting just a monster season from him? I think pretty clearly the answer is, well, he moved on from Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers, who's, we know is one of the best quarterbacks of our generation of all time. And so I think, listen, I think it's completely reasonable to be very excited for that quarterback upgrade. But then I got to looking, just at some Zach Wilson stats, at some Aaron Rodgers stats, and I kind of had a good laugh. I'm not gonna lie, right? So it started off with looking at just kind of his catchable target rate. So last year, Garrett Wilson's catchable target rate was 92nd among wide receivers. Pretty bad.
That's really
pretty bad. That's really bad. So that's like laugh out loud bad for how well he did, right? So 92nd in catchable target rate. He had 5 top 12 finishes on the season, was still like wide receiver 20 on the season. Like that's really making the best out of the worst situation. And so I'm looking, like everyone else. All right, he did that with Zach Wilson, Mike White, and whoever else. Like he's got Aaron Rodgers now. Isn't that going to be so much better? That catchable pass rate, that the deep balls, won't they connect more on those? Just completion percentages, like so first thing, like I said, catchable pass rate, right? Zach Wilson last year, number 49. Okay, that's not surprising at
That's
all.
bad.
I was
Yeah, that's
like,
very bad.
yeah, that's right around, only 32 starting quarterbacks in the league, but number 49, that sounds about right for Zach Wilson on the year. So I was like, okay, catchable pass rate. What was Aaron Rodgers at? It had to be like a lot higher, right? Nope. Zach Wilson, 49th. Aaron Rodgers, number 47, 2 spots higher on that list. And so, obviously these are stats that I specifically looked at and saw which ones that Aaron Rodgers was pretty close to Zach Wilson. So I didn't, is, nitpicking a little bit, but these are still, they're factually correct stats where, I moved on. That deep ball, like I was saying, that deep ball catchable pass rate. Zach Wilson, 25th in the league. Whoa, not bad, right? So I would have expected closer to 49, like for the other catchable pass rate. And so I was like, okay, Zach Wilson was 25th in the deep ball catchable pass rate. Aaron Rodgers must have been, somewhere in the 20s or maybe the teens. Nope. I looked at Aaron Rodgers. He's actually lower than Zach Wilson last year at number
That's funny.
29, which I was shocked. I was shocked. I thought that's something, especially we saw, Christian Watson explode for a big stretch, or, five game stretch or something like that. We saw him explode, and some of those were deep balls. It was crazy to me that not only was Aaron Rodgers not significantly better at throwing a more catchable deep ball, but he was actually worse last season, which I know Aaron Rodgers had a down year, but I didn't think he had a down year bad enough that he's actually worse than Zach Wilson in some of these stats. Like, that is mind blowing to me.
I did tell people Aaron Rodgers was pretty bad last year.
And I agree. And I think I got two more numbers. I think that say that right there. So another one was completion percentage versus man coverage. And Zach Wilson, we're looking at 54.1%. So that was number 27th in the league. Again, actually not as bad as I thought. Looking at some of the other numbers Zach Wilson had, 27th, it's actually not that bad for him. So I was like, okay, Aaron Rodgers must be higher. 54.2%. He was 0.1% more accurate, I guess, or completed more passes, 0.1% more passes completed versus man coverage. And it's just crazy. And then finally, just for the quarterbacks themselves and their fantasy sense. So fantasy points per drop back. So every time they drop back, how many fantasy points do they get? Zach Wilson, 0.4, number 25 in the league. Okay, again, better than I expected. And then we look over at Aaron Rodgers, it's the same story. 0.44. That's number 23, 2 spots higher, 0.04 more points per drop back. So, again, these are 4 stats that I picked out specifically, but I didn't make anything up. These are real stats, real numbers that Aaron Rodgers put up, that Zach Wilson put up. Now, am I saying Aaron Rodgers isn't an upgrade over Zach Wilson? No, I am absolutely
Zach
not
Wilson
saying
is
that.
one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen play football.
Absolutely on the same page there. I am not at all saying that Aaron Rodgers is not an upgrade. Look at these 4 numbers I picked out. That's not what I'm saying. I am just saying, like we're talking about the hype with Garrett Wilson, I think we're not quite there yet to be able to put him in that wide receiver 3, only behind JJ and Jamar. Like,
I think that
it's too quick.
I think that people just think that Aaron Rodgers is going to be 2019, 2020, 2021 Aaron Rodgers
MVP.
again.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a guarantee. I do think he's going to be a lot better than Zach Wilson because it's hard to be worse. But yeah,
absolutely.
I love Garrett Wilson though. I will say though, almost every trade that I've been a part of, Patreon or otherwise, involving Garrett Wilson has not been me acquiring him. It's been a lot of me getting rid of him. So oftentimes in the tier down direction. But you brought a couple of trades. What do you think?
Yeah, so to this point of Garrett Wilson hype just kind of getting out of control, I've been just seeing kind of what the values have been in some of my leagues where I do have shares of him. And I don't want to give up Garrett Wilson. I know he's going to be great. He's going to be great for years to come. But I just wanted to see, like, are people really that out of control? And some of the trades I was able to make, two in particular, I was just blown away with how much I was offered. Not even like going back and forth trying to rebuttal their offer, counter it, and like get more out of it. It was like these are some of the trades I was offered within one counter or off the bat. And so specifically one, I sold Garrett Wilson. I traded him away for Devontae Smith and then a 24 first and a second. And I just think, yes, from Wilson to Devontae Smith, that's, at like a tier down, like you said, maybe even two small tiers down. But like at that price, I'm picking up a 24 first and a 24 second. I
That
just
was
felt
super
that was,
flex, right?
yes.
It's
And these are
better in
both
super
super
flex.
flex.
In one, yeah, one QB wouldn't be that great. And in super flex,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Yeah. So I just felt like I'm not saying these are, this is crazy that I'm even being offered it. I just thought, the value was definitely a little bit on the non-Wilson side for all of these. Um and so the other one specifically, I thought, we've come a long way on one of these players that was in the trade was I traded away Garrett Wilson and then I added a Isaiah Pacheco in there, someone that I have been also trying to kind of move because it's no sure thing that he's going to have this role he had last year. We just never know. He doesn't have the draft capital. He did well last year, but he's more kind of between the tackles. He's a violent runner. He's just trying to run through
I'm
you,
not a big
whatever.
fan
But
of his.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I was totally okay with trading Garrett Wilson and Isaiah Pacheco away, and in return, I got Chris Olave, Kyle Pitts, and a 24 third. And it's like, to me, that was one of the crazier trades I've made, where we're looking at a Pitts last year costs two, three firsts. I mean, he's this generational transcendent wide receiver that plays tight end, just so athletically gifted. And so to me, getting a guy like that, but also Olave, who is, again, maybe a small tier behind Garrett Wilson, like not that many spots behind in a dynasty sense. Um, and so to be able to move Garrett Wilson and Pacheco into Chris Olave, Kyle Pitts, and a future third, I just thought that was too juicy to pass up. And so, I mean, these deals, I'm not looking actively trying to like deal Garrett Wilson for whatever best price I get. These are just deals where I kind of just shopped around a little bit and I was like, wow, I was right. Like people are really, really, really high on Garrett Wilson. And I'm going to see if I can just tear down a tiny bit and see where we go. And I think, yeah.
Yeah. I would say that a lot of the good deals I've seen with Garrett Wilson have been trading for Chris Olave, who actually had very similar rookie season. He averaged more yards, a little bit less in volume. So, he's been a lot of the target. Amon-Ra as well. I mean, I would rather have Amon-Ra a little bit more proven, but I've definitely seen a lot of Wilson for Amon-Ra plus deals. So,
Yep.
Yeah, those are that's what I'm looking to do.
Absolutely. And I think so, I think that's just the lesson is when there's a guy that is this hyped up, like, I mean, we're talking literally the third wide receiver in people's minds in a dynasty sense behind the two, big, huge studs, JJ and Jamar. Like if hype gets out of control to that point, I think you have to just look around a little bit, just see what people are willing to offer you. And I did very similar things, after Jonathan Taylor's RB1 year, where you just have to. You don't want to trade the guy that just had a great season for you. I get it. I understand. But whenever someone gets up to that top 1, 2, 3 at their position, you just got to see, because a lot of times
it's funny. I get a lot of Twitter trades about Justin Jefferson, and these returns for Garrett Wilson are more. People are like have gotten tired of Justin Jefferson for whatever reason, and I always see all these trades are selling him for cheap, but it seems like you can get more for Garrett Wilson. I don't get it. People just want the shiny new toy.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I would definitely put Garrett Wilson on the block. He's definitely on the sell side for me, but I've also
Mhm.
drafted him before, and I'm fine with that. So it's not like I have to get rid of him, but if you can get a really good return, I'm fine with that. But yeah,
Absolutely.
no, thanks for listening, watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. As always, check out my Patreon. It's in the comments, show notes of every video. It's also at the top right. And then, that notifications bell to be notified about all of our future content, our show, my solo shows, the live show every 7:30 every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. And I'll see you all next time. Peace.